Hi, welcome to Celebrating Culture. In Louisiana, we've got great city parks and great state parks. In this episode, we're going to take you to a dozen of our state parks and showcase things that you could do as a staycation. Louisiana also has a great national wildlife refuge system. This was started by President Theodore Roosevelt down in Breton Island in St. Bernard Parish. President Roosevelt had a great affinity for Louisiana. The Louisiana black bear story and the teddy bear story are also going to be featured in this episode. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to Celebrating Culture. We're here today at Fontainebleau State Park and I'm with P J Hahn, who is a wonderful photographer of the state of Louisiana. PJ, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. This is beautiful out here, great day.
So tell us about your career and how that morphed into the photography you do today.
During the BP oil spill, I was coastal director under Billy Nungesser, who was the parish president at the time of Plaquemines Parish. I was obviously out every day, 24/7, for 4 months out in the water, battling the oil spill, trying to document some of the damage that was happening during the oil spill. Joel Sartori, who's the top photographer with National Geographic, was assigned to me, and he became my mentor in photography. And from there, I started getting stuff published with Reuters, Getty, Associated Press, and finally National Geographic, so it was great.
You've done some calendars for the state.
There's 22 state parks in Louisiana. They had picked 12 state parks for me to go shoot, so I really had a good time. It was like a staycation, going around the state, being able to shoot. It was absolutely beautiful.
Louisiana has some amazing state parks.
We have some beautiful state parks. We have world-class state parks.
Let's start at Ximena-Holt State Park.
That place is unbelievable. Probably out of all of the parks, one of my favorite parks. It's got an area, a bayou that runs through there that with some cypress trees that are just amazing to look at. Back years ago, the logging industry that passed through Louisiana probably cut down most of the trees in Louisiana at some point. These trees, they missed for some reason that whole area, that bayou you and I were in. And there's trees in there, cypress trees in there, that are well over 1,000 years old. One of our favorite is what they call the castle. It's probably rated somewhere between 1,100 and 1,200 years old. It's just such an amazing thing to see, and just like you're saying, I mean, it's so unusual to have a tree 1,100 years old still around, and then the design of the tree, they're almost like pieces of art. I mean, when you pull up on them, they're gorgeous.
And that tree is almost 20 feet in diameter.
It's huge when you take a look at that thing. Guarded heavily by mosquitoes, by the way. I tell anybody that mosquitoes and the horseflies. I think that's actually going to be the cover of the calendar. Donated a pint of blood to get that shot.
So as we keep going clockwise, we're at Poverty Point. That's another great park.
Beautiful. Now there's two Poverty Points. One is the Indian Mounds, which if anybody ever gets up there, you really want to go see both. It's absolutely spectacular. Some of the oldest living civilizations on the planet is at Poverty Point. And then there's a Poverty Point section where they actually have cabins. You can rent cabins in a beautiful lake, beautiful body of water, and actually black bears are out there too. I didn't get to see any while I was out there, but a lot of people have told me about them, and there's signs everywhere, watch for black bear.
We go to St. Francisville, and I just love that town.
Beautiful town, beautiful area around there, and a beautiful state park with the Rosedown plantation home that's out there. They have a series of gardens, all wild flowers that are growing out there, gazebos, and beautiful scenery everywhere.
Now, when you go a little bit further out, you got Oakley Plantation.
Oakley Plantation, Audubon Historical Site, which James Audubon had done a series of paintings there. Actually, 32 of his paintings were done at that plantation, and you can actually see some of the original paintings that are in there now.
And then if you go out, it's only about 10 miles out, is a very large cypress tree.
That's in Cat Island, and that's probably the oldest cypress tree in Louisiana and the largest as well. It's the largest actually in the world.
And then you have Bogachita.
Bogachita was really neat. They actually have the rafting that you can rent rafts and go down the raft. And I actually, for that, I had a drone. I shot some photography as they unloaded a busload of people in rafts coming down the river. Great for horseback riding. They have some wonderful horseback riding through there. There's a lot of places around that will rent horses to you, and it's a great way to see these parks.
And now we're here at Fontainebleau.
This was one of the first parks I shot. It was just amazing because I'd never been to a state park, so this was my first experience. And it's just absolutely beautiful with the beach. We got a gorgeous beach out in front. Beautiful pier with a gazebo.
The sunsets here are great.
Oh, you can't beat the sunset. They were amazing. I sat out and shot a beautiful sunset. In fact, that was what they used for the calendar cover for the 2018 calendar for this park.
And what is Billy doing? I mean, Billy Nungesser has now brought in glamping. What is that?
This is absolutely amazing. It's really something that's new, and leave it to Billy Nungesser to pick up on something that's innovative, something that will draw people into the parks. Glamping is glamorous camping, basically. You have all the creature comforts of home right here in the outdoors, and the way this particular one is set up, you can actually bring a group of your friends out here and really have a great time. I mean, this is very, very beautiful.
And I understand they're going to do this for 8 state parks to begin with, and then perhaps expand it from there.
They are, and they even have one off of a little island over here. So if you really want to be alone and not hear anybody or see any lights or anything, that's the one to go to.
As we keep going through, we have Grand Isle, and that's a unique state park.
It really is. It's actually going to have one of the longest piers in the world, from what I understand. They're adding on to the pier that's out there already. Great fishing. I grew up in the outdoors, and of course all the friends of mine that hang out in the outdoors, I tell them all the time, you go anywhere and fish, but you come to Louisiana if you want to catch fish. So anywhere in Louisiana is great fishing, and that's one of the greatest places to go fishing too.
The next stop would be Tickfaw State Park.
Tickfaw is beautiful because it's actually got the little bridge that goes through the area, little suspension bridge, and it's got the grandma cypress, very unique in that area.
We now go into Fairview.
Fairview, beautiful park with beautiful restaurants, and it's all on a beautiful river that's very unique. It's the moss that's hanging out of the trees there. The colors along the river are just absolutely beautiful.
And they have a swamp path there. I mean, what I see at a lot of our parks is they have these walkways raised up.
That's actually got probably one of the larger walking paths that you can take through the marsh.
And as we continue on our journey, we go out towards Lafayette and we get to Lake Faust State Park, which I love because the cabins there have an Acadiana feel to it.
All these state parks have different types of cabins. That's probably one of my favorite as far as the cabins there, because it does make you feel like you're stepping back in time.
They actually have set up 2 glamping sites on a point.
It makes it very accessible to be able to stay somewhere like that, and especially from a photographer's standpoint, to get out there and go photograph these areas.
And then I actually went to Palmetto State Park recently.
Palmetto, you know, obviously they named it after the palmetto palms. First thing that I picked up on is there's so many everything is palmettos, and even the wooden little ramps that they have the little palmetto wooden ramps decorated with palmettos in there. It's beautiful, beautiful.
They have a children's play area.
That's one of them that has it, is the water playground. The kids can go out there and play.
And they've got a lake there where you can kayak as well.
They do. They have a waterway there that makes for good canoeing and good kayaking.
And Sam Houston State Park.
Sam Houston out by Lake Charles, that place was absolutely beautiful. I saw a lot of wildlife there. I actually saw some deer walk up, and I sat there quietly trying to feed them, and they actually came and ate out of your hand. A lot of the parks have a lot of wildlife that'll come right up to you. I wouldn't recommend people doing that. You got to be careful when you're working with wild animals.
I don't play regular golf too much. I wonder, could I do Frisbee golf?
I know I can't, but you're probably more coordinated than I am. Some of the parks have Frisbee golf, and it's very unique. Basically, it's a little basket out in the middle of the woods, and you have to throw a Frisbee and try to get it into the basket.
Now, Toledo Bend. There's North Toledo Bend and there's South Toledo Bend.
There's North and there's South, both beautiful parks.
They said they put in some really great tents on a place called Hippie Point, I believe.
Hippie Point, it's a little peninsula that runs out into the water, so it's a great place.
And there's the bridge right there where you can cross into Texas.
Right, yeah, you're right on the Texas border.
It's a very large reservoir, man-made. You went to North Toledo Bend.
North Toledo Bend was gorgeous, and one of the things that I remember the most about that is the beautiful log cabins. A lot of the cabins there are very well decorated inside, and it's more like a home when you walk in.
As we finished the journey back to the top of the state, Lake Darbin.
That's got a beautiful lake out there, and wonderful fishing too. Very easy accessible areas to, again, canoeing, kayaking. They rent the canoes out there. Beautiful place to go hiking through the trails. They have some beautiful piers that go way, way out into the lake.
They have one for kids where you walk the trail and they got cutouts of the animals.
They have the little skunk, the armadillos, the raccoons, and it's really a cute idea, very clever, where you walk through a very small little trail.
They got a restaurant on the water.
They really have some great places at all the state parks in the immediate area. I would tell anybody that goes out there, do a little research and see what's outside the parks, because there's a lot of really, really good restaurants that don't get the notoriety that New Orleans does on their food, but some of these are world class. All of the places have really first-class cabins. Even the facilities are set up if you have a large group, like a church group or something like that. Most of these campgrounds have huge buildings where you can sleep 30, 40 people with kitchens and everything else, full kitchen.
So our parks have great educational exhibits. In fact, at Tickfaw, they brought out a tortoise so that you can see the animals and what's native there and learn about them.
No doubt about it, and it showcases all the different wildlife and foliage and vegetation at some of these parks and what you can find when you're going through Louisiana. Very popular with groups such as the Boy Scouts of America and the Girl Scouts.
What I do love at the parks, you'll see three generations. You have the young kids, the parents, and the grandparents spending time together.
And it's a great place to bring families out. My families did family vacations and we did the summer vacation. And those are the memories that you'll always remember.
Yes.
You reflect back over time and you think about the things that you enjoyed most in your life. You may not remember a certain place that you went to, but you do remember those parks, and you remember the places and the fun times you had with your family and the bonding that you had with your family.
You've been doing a lot of bird photography. Tell me about some of your special photography.
You know, I've always enjoyed the outdoors and I love shooting wildlife. That's probably my favorite. I've traveled the world taking pictures of all kinds of birds. My daughter is into scuba diving, so we went to the Galapagos Islands. There they have some very unique birds, birds that you'll only see in the Galapagos Islands. Blue-footed boobies and the different types of gulls that they have there is just amazing to see, and of course the Galapagos tortoises. I just enjoy going out and photographing eagles and the different types of birds, especially along the swamps of Louisiana. We're really blessed in the amount of birds. For birders, it's a birder's paradise. 75% of all tropical birds fly through here. The neotropical birds come through here. The spoonbills, what they call the Cajun flamingos, and you see some of those sometimes by the hundreds flying in.
So PJ, if somebody wants to know more and research this, what's the website?
lastateparks.com.
PJ, this has just been phenomenal, and I love working with you. I hope we do a lot more state parks together.
Thank you.
We have such a great variety in Louisiana, so I want to encourage everybody to go visit a state park. And with that, I'll say we'll be right back with more of Celebrating Culture. Celebrating Culture is brought to you by AWE News. AWE News also produces New Orleans Insider Tours, which are 10 self-guided tours of New Orleans and Louisiana. To download the apps, all you have to do is point your phone at the flow code in the camera mode, and you're ready to really experience Louisiana. Hi, welcome back to Celebrating Culture. We're here today at Fontainebleau State Park, and I'm with Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser, who just revealed a new product. Billy, welcome to the show.
Glad to be with you.
You are doing so much for the parks, and today was a big day.
It is. You know, we've been doing the private-public partnerships, canoeing, horseback riding, and to bring in a company to partner with us for glamping, which is an incredible tent with a bed. I don't think I'll be sleeping on the ground ever again camping, but I could do this. This is pretty neat.
This is fabulous.
It really is. And to see these placed in unique places all over the parks, some you got a canoe to, some have a beautiful sunset on Lake Pontchartrain, and at all the parks they place them in unique places so you really get a good outdoor feeling and a great surrounding.
You had a vision a few years ago about public-private partnerships, and this is coming to fruition.
It is. It's been, it's a learning curve. And whenever you try something new, there's people that are scared of what you're going to do. But we take the lessons that I've learned in other states and try to duplicate the successes here. And I believe you will see a day when our state parks are generating millions of dollars for the state of Louisiana and doesn't cost the taxpayers anything. It's been done in other states. We just need to make sure we do it right. The things we do like this don't compete with local restaurants or businesses, and it complements them and it doesn't pull people away from going into the local community, shopping and eating. And I'm sure this will help bring people into the community to spend their tax dollars.
And you got a program you're unveiling to get people back to Louisiana.
Absolutely. The Sunshine Plan, we like to say we see light at the end of the tunnel, and it's sunshine. And we partnered with Grammy winner Lauren Daigle, who we bought the rights to You Are My Sunshine, a song right here by a famous governor. She re-recorded it, and it's absolutely beautiful, and hopefully that'll get people hungry for Louisiana and bring us back to those record-breaking tourism numbers we saw just last year.
Billy, I want to thank you for being on the show, and thanks for all you've done for Louisiana.
Thank you so much.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of Celebrating Culture. Hi, we hope you've enjoyed this episode of Celebrating Culture. AWE News has interviewed hundreds of people and produced dozens of episodes for local broadcasting of awesome people doing great things to inspire us all. If you'd like to watch a specific interview, please visit our YouTube channel and subscribe. Hi, welcome back to Celebrating Culture. We're here today in Rolling Fork, Mississippi, and I'm with Meg Cooper, who is the director of Mississippi's Lower Delta Partnership. Meg, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for visiting the Delta.
Meg, you have a great thing going here with Rolling Fork, the teddy bear story. Tell me a little bit about it.
In 1902, President Theodore Roosevelt came to Sharkey County, Mississippi to go on a black bear hunt. It took place in probably what is today Delta National Forest, but he got off the train down at Smead's Plantation in southern Sharkey County, and they all got on horses and loaded up and rode into the forest where there was going to be a bear hunt for the president. Of course, quite a momentous event for folks around here. They had engaged the best bear hunter, best guide in the region to make sure that the president killed a bear on this hunt. And that was Holt Collier. Holt Collier from Greenville, Mississippi was a legendary bear hunter at that time. In his lifetime, he killed over 3,000 black bears. Holt Collier had been here weeks before, scoping out where the bears were, finding the trails through the cane breaks and all of that. So the first morning of the hunt, the president had told them he planned to kill a bear. And everyone knew that the first bear was the president's. Nobody else could kill a bear, it kind of went without saying. Holt took the president and his hunting companion, Mr. Foote, and he kind of seated them on the stand, which was basically a log on the side of a slough, and he said, "We're gonna run the bear, and he's gonna come out right there where you can shoot him." Well, this went on for several hours in the morning, and they could hear the dogs. They could hear them running, and late in the morning, they were getting further and further and further away. Those dogs, he's crossed the river, they've gone that way, and they were hungry. And Roosevelt said, let's go back to camp. Let's go get some lunch. So he and Mr. Foote got up and went back to where they were camping, and it wasn't much later that bear turned, and the dogs chased it. And Holt, being so familiar with the area and so familiar with his dogs, he knew when that bear should have come out, just by the sound of the bark. And he kept listening, and Holt, he came out, no precedent and all. Well, by this time, his dogs had cornered the bear in a slough. So the bear turned around and started attacking Holt's dogs, which were very valuable to him, his hunting dogs, and had Holt's favorite dog, in fact. And so Holt jumped down off his horse. He couldn't shoot the bear. The president was supposed to shoot the bear. So instead, he took his gun and he held it by the barrel and he clubbed the bear over the head. The bear went down, let go of the dog. Holt told him to bring him a rope. He lassoed the bear, tied the bear to a tree, and said, send for the president to come shoot this bear. The president did come. He saw the bear tied to a tree, and people are going, shoot him, shoot the bear. It'll be a successful hunt, shoot the bear. And he knew, that would be a political mistake to shoot this bear that was tied up on a rope and everything. So the president said, no, that would be unsportsmanlike. I will not shoot this bear. And of course, the press wrote about it, and Clifford Berryman, who was the famous political cartoonist of the day, did a political cartoon showing the president refusing to shoot a bear. Of course, he drew a little bear cub in his cartoon. Now, it was not a bear cub that the president refused to shoot. It was a 250-pound bear. Morris Mitchum, who had a toy shop in New Jersey, he wrote President Roosevelt and said, I've got these stuffed toy bears in my shop. Do you mind if I call them Teddy's Bears? And the president said, I don't know how that could help you sell a bear, but yes, you may do that. So they were called Teddy's Bears, which has become Teddy Bear. And that is why childhood stuffed toy bears are always called teddy bears, because of a hunt here in Sharkey County. In fact, we have a visitor center down in Onward, Mississippi, the Theodore Roosevelt National Wildlife Visitors Center. And they can see a replica of the skull from that bear, and you can see where it's got a dent in it from where it was hit over the head by Holt Collier. It's part of the Theodore Roosevelt Wildlife Refuge, and it has a great educational wing in it that is called the Holt Collier Educational Center.
Tell me about Holt Collier. What is his story?
Holt Collier was born a slave. He lived in the Greenville, Mississippi area. When he was 14, his master and his master's son went to fight in the Civil War. And Holt escaped and followed them and went and fought for the Confederacy in the Civil War. So he was a Confederate soldier. He later came back after the war, but he hunted. In fact, when they were building the railroads, when the railroads were coming through, one of the things he did to earn money was they had brought in all this labor that they needed to feed. Holt got a gun and they would pay for dressed carcasses of deer, bear, whatever, to feed the workers. And so Holt did that. Holt became quite prosperous for an African American of that time. Today, one of his favorite hunting grounds, in fact, is now the Holt Collier National Wildlife Refuge up near Greenville, Mississippi.
I heard he was once offered $10,000 for his dogs and turned it down.
He may have. A good hunting dog, it's hard to find.
He and Roosevelt became long-term friends.
They did, in fact. When Roosevelt, he was bound and determined to kill a black bear, he was quite the sportsman and he loved to hunt. He was also a great conservationist, and he went on a hunt in Louisiana in 1907, and he requested that Holt Collier be engaged to help on that hunt. And on that hunt, President Roosevelt did kill a black bear.
There's even a town named after him in Louisiana called Roosevelt. I think the population is 6. It's a small town. There's a National Wildlife Refuge on Breton Island in St. Bernard. He created a preserve there to save the birds. So he's actually very much the conservationist.
He was. In fact, he was the founder of the National Wildlife Refuge system. He created that during his presidency.
Meg, tell me about the Great Delta Bear Fair.
The Great Delta Bear Fair started in 2002, which was the 100th year anniversary of the hunt. And we have fantastic entertainment. The musical entertainment's great. There's, all those festival things. Of course, there's that great food, there's arts and crafts. We have several different environmental groups that come. My favorite is our chainsaw wood carver. Every year he carves a new 12-foot sculpture of a bear of some sort for the community. And today we have about 16 of these pieces of public art scattered around Rolling Fork at different places. We've got the journalist bear at the Deer Creek Pilot, which is our local newspaper. Dr. Bear is at the hospital. We have presidential bears in front of the courthouse. And then we have bears climbing trees, and we have Paul Bunyan Bear at the lumber yard. And he did President Roosevelt one year, and then he did Holt Collier the next year. And so we've got Roosevelt and Holt Collier as well. We have a publication where people can pick it up, and it has a map of the bear hunt, and you can take a carved bear hunt around Rolling Fork and search for all the bears.
The black bear was actually an endangered species.
It was, and that was another reason for starting the festival in 2002, was to draw attention to the plight of the black bear in Mississippi, here in its historic native grounds. And at that time, I think there were only about 5 black bears that they knew of in Mississippi. Since then, more habitat has been installed, thanks to programs through the Natural Resource Conservation Services for farmers, where they can put marginal land into habitat, and black bear habitat has been reestablished, and the bear population has come on back.
So the Louisiana black bears are actually starting from the Tentrr National Wildlife Refuge, which is 80,000 acres, swimming all the way across the Mississippi River.
Right, those bears swim the river. We've gotten a few Louisiana bears.
Meg, I want to thank you for being on the show. And if someone wants more information, where do they go?
They can go to our website, which is lowerdelta.org, and for information specific to the Great Delta Bear Fair Festival, they can go to greatdeltabearfair.org.
And stay tuned, we'll be right back with more Celebrating Culture. Hi, welcome back to Celebrating Culture. We hope you've enjoyed this episode on our state parks and are inspired to take a staycation and see Louisiana, and we hope you're inspired to take care of our environment that we share with such an abundance of wildlife. Plus, next time you get a teddy bear, we hope it has a special meaning for you.
Each year we sell a different bear at the Great Delta Bear Fair. Like Mr. Tie-Dye Bear here, that year the festival theme was Peace, Love, and Teddy Bears. And then this year, in 2020, we didn't have a festival, but we still had bears. And we had who we call the COVID bear. He's actually a sloth bear, but we thought he looked like COVID with all of his wild and crazy hair and everything. Every year we take teddy bears to the Larry Batson Children's Hospital in Jackson, Mississippi. And we take bears to every child that's in the hospital and to every child that's receiving treatment in the clinic. They all get a teddy bear from the Great Delta Bear Fair. This is Theodora. This is my grandson's favorite teddy bear. In fact, my grandson was born during the Great Delta Bear Fair one year. So it's fitting that he loves a bear.